Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when distractions must die, when excuses must fade, and when your vision must rise above the noise. That moment is now. It's time to focus. It's time to elevate. It's time to become who you were destined to be. You've been circling the same mountain long enough. You've been watering seeds in someone else's garden while your own dreams are drying up. You've been giving your time, your energy, your peace to things that don't build you. But this is your awakening season. This is your shift. When you focus, you take back your authority. You reclaim your purpose. You silence the opinions, the doubts, the fears that have been living rent-free in your mind. You stop chasing validation and start walking in conviction. Focus doesn't mean you see everything clearly. It means you decide what deserves your vision. It's time to elevate. You cannot rise by staying where it's comfortable. Growth demands discomfort. Elevation demands separation. Don't expect everyone to understand your calling. They weren't there when it was whispered into your spirit. They don't have the blueprint. They don't carry the burden. They don't see the destiny. Stop waiting for confirmation from people who never saw your potential. Elevation means you move different. You speak different. You think on higher frequencies. You don't gossip. You grow. You don't compete. You create. You don't fight for attention. You walk in intention. And finally, it's time to become who you were meant to be. Not who they said you should be. Not who the world tried to mold you into. But who God designed before your first breath. There's a version of you that's been hidden behind fear, behind overthinking, behind trauma, but that version is still alive, waiting to break through. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too small. You are in process. And what's coming next will make sense of everything that's been breaking you. Because when you finally focus, heaven aligns. When you elevate, old doors close so new ones can open. And when you become, you won't have to chase your purpose. It will recognize you. Focus reclaims power. There is a kind of power that doesn't come from titles, money, or applause. It doesn't come from who you know or what you own. It comes from focus, real, unshakable, disciplined focus. The kind of focus that silences the noise, clears the fog, and reclaims what life, people, pain have tried to steal from you. Focus is not just about attention. It's about alignment. When you decide what truly matters, everything else begins to fall into place. You see, life will always try to pull you in 1,000 directions. Every day, there's another distraction calling your name, social media comparisons, regrets, opinions, the endless pressure to perform. You start your day knowing what matters, but somehow by the end, your energy has been scattered. You gave your peace to problems that didn't need solving. You gave your time to people who didn't value it. You gave your focus to things that didn't deserve it. And then you wonder why you feel empty, drained, and disconnected. Where your focus goes, your power flows. Whatever you give your attention to, you give your energy to, whatever you magnify in your mind becomes the direction of your life. If you focus on fear, you'll attract more fear. If you focus on failure, you'll keep repeating old mistakes. But if you focus on purpose, passion, and progress, you begin to draw strength from the same places that used to drain you. Focus is your weapon in a world designed to distract you. You cannot rise if your attention is divided. You cannot grow if your energy is scattered. Power doesn't come from being busy. It comes from being intentional. It's not how much you know. It's not how much you do. It's what you give yourself to that makes the difference. A river with no boundaries is just a flood, but when it's focused, it becomes a force powerful enough to generate energy to move ships, to carve canyons. The same is true for you. You don't need to be everywhere. You need to be effective where you are. You don't need to chase every opportunity. You need to nurture the one that aligns with your destiny. When you focus, you begin to see what was always there. The answers were never missing. You were just too distracted to notice them. The opportunities were never gone. You just couldn't see them through the noise. When your vision clears, your decisions become stronger, your pace becomes steady. Your voice becomes sure. You stop reacting to everything and start responding with wisdom. And let's be honest, some of us have been surviving in reaction mode for too long. We've been letting the world dictate our priorities, our worth, and even our emotions. We wake up and check notifications before checking on our souls. We measure success by what's visible instead of what's vital. But the moment you decide to focus, you take back authority over your own story. Focus is freedom. It's saying no to what drains you so you can say yes to what develops you. It's not selfish, it's sacred, because not everyone and everything deserves access to your energy. Some connections will cost you your clarity. Some conversations will cost you your peace. Some commitments will cost you your destiny. Focus helps you discern the difference between what feels urgent and what is truly important. When you focus, you stop being driven by impulse and start being led by intention. You begin to make choices that reflect your vision, not your mood. You learn to wait, to prepare, to build quietly while the world rushes by. You understand that not every season is about showing. Some are about sowing. While others are chasing visibility, you're developing substance. But focus will test you. It will separate you from comfort. Will demand that you let go of things that once felt good but no longer do you good. You will have to cut off distractions disguised as opportunities. You will have to step back from crowds that celebrate your potential but drain your progress. You will have to learn to be alone without feeling lonely. Because focus sometimes looks like isolation before it manifests as elevation. In the silence of focus, you rediscover yourself. You realize that your peace is priceless, your time is sacred, and your purpose is worth protecting. You learn to guard your thoughts like a garden, because every seed you plant will grow into something. Whether it's weeds or wisdom depends on your focus. Don't let your mind become a battlefield for everyone else's agenda. Protect your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. Every dream, every breakthrough, every transformation starts with focus. A focused mind can turn pain into purpose. It can turn obstacles into opportunities. It can turn confusion into clarity. When you focus, you stop chasing validation and start walking in vision. You no longer need the crowd to see you because you know the Creator already chose you. You stop apologizing for your boundaries because you finally understand that peace is not a privilege, it's a product of focus. You no longer waste energy explaining your decisions to those who were never meant to understand them. You simply align yourself with what's divine and watch the distractions fall away. Focus reclaims power because it brings you back to the center of who you are. It's the moment when you stop scattering yourself trying to please everyone and start living with purpose to please your calling. It's the awareness that your mind is not a playground for fear, but a workshop for faith. It's realizing that the power was never lost. You just had to bring it back under your control. And when you reclaim that power, you move differently. You speak with clarity, you work with conviction, you rest without guilt. You create from a place of peace, not pressure. You live from a place of alignment, not anxiety. That's the beauty of focus. It doesn't just change what you see, it changes how you see yourself. So today, make the decision to reclaim your power. Stop scattering your strength on things that don't grow you. Stop feeding distractions that keep you small. Focus your mind, your heart, your time, and your energy on what truly matters. Because the moment you focus, your power returns. You don't have to chase it. You just have to center it. You don't have to beg for it. You just have to protect it. You don't have to search for it. You just have to focus. And when you finally focus, really focus, the power that was buried beneath your doubt, your pain, and your distraction will come rushing back, reminding you that you were never powerless. You were just preoccupied. Every great rise comes with a great release. You cannot go higher while holding on to everything that kept you grounded. Every season of elevation demands that you lay something down. An old mindset, old circle, an old identity, an old version of yourself. Because elevation is not only about reaching new heights, it's about becoming light enough to get there. Separation is the silent price of transformation. It's the unseen work that happens before the breakthrough. It's the hidden process that most people never talk about because it's not glamorous. It's lonely. It's the nights when no one calls. It's the quiet mornings when you're building something nobody else believes in yet. It's the process of detaching from comfort so you can connect with your calling. The truth is, Not everyone can go where you're going. Some people are tied to your past, not your purpose. They loved you when you were average, but they can't handle you when you start to awaken. They were comfortable when you were quiet, but they get uneasy when you begin to grow. You will notice that the moment you start to rise, the crowd gets smaller. The air gets thinner, the noise gets louder, but your circle gets quieter. That's the cost of elevation. When you elevate, you begin to see from a higher perspective. You stop reacting emotionally to what's beneath you. You stop chasing approval because you've learned to listen to your assignment. You realize that not every invitation deserves your attendance. You stop trying to fit in because you were never built to blend in. You were built to stand out. Separation doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you stop shrinking to keep them comfortable. It means you can love them without limiting yourself. It means you can honor what was without denying what's next. Sometimes the greatest act of love you can give is to let go. Because holding on to what's expired only delays what's divine. You see, many people pray for elevation but resist separation. They want the glory without the growth, the promise without the pruning. But you cannot rise with the same weight that held you down. You cannot carry everyone, everything, and every emotion into your next dimension. Growth is not just about addition. It's about subtraction. You will lose people, patterns, places that no longer align with your direction. That's not rejection, that's refinement. Elevation requires isolation because the higher you go, the less room there is for excess. Airplanes don't take off with unnecessary baggage. They drop the weight before they fly. You, too, must travel light. You cannot soar if you're carrying guilt, bitterness, resentment, or the constant need for validation. Those are emotional anchors that keep your soul grounded while your spirit is trying to rise. Let's be honest, separation hurts. It's not easy to outgrow environments that once felt safe. It's not simple to distance yourself from people you've prayed with, cried with, or built with. It's not natural to walk away from something familiar when your next season feels uncertain. But comfort and calling rarely live in the same place. Growth will stretch you before it rewards you. It will pull you apart before it propels you forward. Elevation is lonely because destiny is personal. Nobody else was in the room when you were created. Nobody else carries your exact purpose, your unique gifts, your divine blueprint. That's why you can't expect everyone to understand your journey. They don't see what you see. They don't hear what you hear. They don't feel what you feel when the calling on your life starts whispering more. When you start elevating, you will notice that conversations change. You won't have the energy for gossip, drama, or competition. You'll crave peace more than attention. You'll crave purpose more than popularity. You'll begin to measure success by alignment, not applause. You'll start walking away from situations that don't feed your spirit. And though the world might call it arrogance, it's actually awareness. You will also find that separation reveals who truly supports you. The ones who celebrate your growth instead of being intimidated by it. The ones who can clap for you even when it's not their season. Those are the people who deserve to stand beside you in your elevation. Everyone else was just assigned to your past, not your future. The most powerful transformations happen in seasons of separation. That's where clarity is born. That's where identity solidifies. That's where faith is tested and strengthened. Because when you are alone, you can finally hear your own thoughts without the static of the world. You can feel what truly matters. You can see where you've been compromising. You can hear the still, quiet voice reminding you that the solitude is not punishment, it's preparation. Separation is sacred because it reintroduces you to yourself. When you're no longer surrounded by constant noise and expectation, you start to recognize your real reflection. You see who you are beyond what people called you, beyond what your past defined you as. You remember that you were not created to live in confusion, compromise, or chaos. You were created to rise, to shine, to lead, to become. And as you elevate, you will discover something powerful. Peace becomes your priority. You begin to understand that not every battle deserves your response. Every criticism requires your defense. You realize that you don't need to prove your worth. Your growth will speak for you. You start building in silence because real builders don't announce every brick. They let the structure testify. Elevation will demand discipline. You will have to master your emotions. When everything in you wants to react, you will have to trust timing when you feel forgotten. You will have to keep working when no one is watching. That's the kind of strength separation produces. It makes you resilient, grounded, and unshakable. And when the time comes, the same people who couldn't understand your separation will witness your elevation. The same rooms that once overlooked you will now call your name. The same silence that felt painful will become the sanctuary where your purpose was born. Because when you separate with intention, you don't lose, you evolve. Elevation is not an event, it's a process. It's not about standing above others. It's about standing within your calling. It's about knowing that your worth isn't determined by who walks with you, but by how true you remain to your mission. You can't elevate by imitation. You elevate by authenticity. You rise by being real, by being focused, by being faithful even when it feels like nobody sees you. So if you find yourself in a season of isolation, don't curse it. Cherish it. Don't fight the separation, flow with it. Don't mourn the exit of what's ending. Celebrate the entrance of what's beginning. Because sometimes God will pull you away from what's comfortable to prepare you for what's calling. Sometimes He will strip away the familiar so He can strengthen your foundation. Elevation requires separation because your next level needs a different version of you. The person you were cannot carry the weight of the person you're becoming. The habits that once sustained you will no longer sustain your destiny. The mindset that once kept you safe will now keep you small. You have to be willing to let go to grow. So release the fear, release the guilt, release the attachment to who you used to be. Stand firm in the understanding that separation is not the end. It's the beginning of your becoming. You are not being abandoned, you are being aligned. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. Every eagle must leave the nest before it learns to soar. Every seed must break before it begins to grow. And every soul that is called to rise must first learn the art of letting go. Elevation requires separation. It's the law of destiny. You cannot step into the new while holding on to the old. So lift your head, strengthen your heart, and trust the process. What feels like loss is actually positioning. What feels like silence is strategy. What feels like separation is elevation in disguise. Growth doesn't live where comfort resides. The two cannot coexist. One demands stillness, the other requires movement. One whispers, "Stay safe," while the other calls, "Step forward." The truth is simple but hard to accept. You cannot grow and stay comfortable at the same time. Every time life calls you to rise, it will also ask you to leave behind what feels easy, familiar, and secure. Because comfort is not a blessing, it's a barrier disguised as peace. We love comfort because it's predictable. It doesn't stretch us, it doesn't challenge us, and it doesn't confront us. It lets us stay where we are without questioning who we're becoming. Comfort slowly steals your potential in silence. It makes you settle for good enough when greatness is still waiting. It convinces you to stay in a job that doesn't inspire you, a relationship that drains you, a mindset that limits you. Comfort doesn't announce its destruction. It slowly numbs your desire for more. Every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary had to step away from what felt comfortable. Every dream fulfilled began with discomfort. The seed must break before it grows. The butterfly must struggle to leave the cocoon. The athlete must train through exhaustion. The believer must endure seasons of silence. There is no transformation without tension. Growth will always challenge your patience, your pride. Peace before it rewards your persistence. Comfort whispers, "Stay here. It's safe." But growth says, if you stay, you'll never know who you could become. The enemy of your next level is not failure, it's comfort. Failure teaches you, stretches you, humbles you. Comfort keeps you stagnant. It convinces you that you're progressing because you're busy, but you're not actually moving forward. You're just maintaining a version of yourself that no longer fits where you're supposed to go. You cannot grow if you refuse to be uncomfortable. Growth is messy. It's uncertain. It requires risk. It demands that you let go of control. That's why so many people stop short of transformation. They want the glory of growth without the growing pains. They want to rise without the resistance. But there is no elevation without a discomfort. There is no destiny without disruption. When life starts shaking things up, it's not to punish you, it's to position you. Sometimes what feels like loss is actually the removal of limitations. The moment you get too comfortable, life will send you a disturbance to remind you that there's more in you. That heartbreak wasn't just pain, it was pruning. That closed door wasn't rejection, it was redirection. That season of uncertainty wasn't a breakdown. It was a breakthrough under construction. Growth lives in discomfort because discomfort exposes truth. It reveals who you really are when everything safe is stripped away. It shows what you truly believe when life doesn't go as planned. It separates who's pretending from who's prepared. Growth makes you face yourself. It makes you see the habits you've ignored, the fears you've buried, the excuses you've justified. Discomfort is the mirror that comfort keeps you from looking into. When you're comfortable, you stop asking questions, you stop dreaming, you stop reaching, you stop growing. You settle for routine instead of revelation. But when you step into discomfort, you discover how strong you really are. You learn to adapt. You learn to trust yourself. You learn to depend on something greater than your own understanding. You find out that your potential is far bigger than your preferences. Comfort is seductive. It gives you the illusion of peace, but it costs you progress. It lets you feel safe while your purpose suffocates. It keeps you surrounded by familiarity when destiny is calling you into unfamiliar territory. Comfort tells you that you can wait for the right moment, but growth says the right moment is now. There is never a convenient time to grow. Always be uncertainty, fear, and risk. But growth doesn't wait for permission. It moves in faith. You see, every time you break a boundary, every time you take a risk, every time you step out of the predictable, something powerful happens. You expand. Your perspective widens. Your confidence strengthens. Your capacity increases. You begin to see that you were never meant to stay small. Growth demands that you stretch beyond the limits comfort created. Think about a seed in the soil. For a while, it looks buried. It's dark, isolated. But beneath that discomfort, a miracle is forming. The shell breaks, roots form, life emerges. The breaking wasn't the end, it was the beginning of growth. The same is true for you. The moments that feel like breaking are actually birthing seasons. Pain you feel is proof that something within you is awakening. Don't fear discomfort, embrace it. Every challenge is shaping you. Every delay is developing you. Every disappointment is directing you. The pressure you feel is not a sign of failure, it's evidence of formation. Diamonds are created under pressure, muscles are built through resistance, and destinies are born through discomfort. If you stay in comfort, you'll outlive your purpose. You'll keep repeating cycles that no longer serve your growth. You'll surround yourself with people who keep you comfortable instead of accountable, and slowly your potential will fade beneath the weight of convenience. But the moment you decide that you're tired of easy, you'll begin to experience expansion. Growth doesn't happen when everything feels right. It happens when you do what's right, even when it feels wrong. It happens when you face fear and move anyway. It happens when you stop playing small and start walking in purpose. Growth happens when you stop asking, what if I fail? And start declaring, what if I fly? Discomfort is not your enemy, it's your educator. It teaches you patience, resilience, and faith. It strips away your need for control and forces you to trust the process. It reminds you that your strength isn't found in comfort zones, it's found in stretching seasons. Every great story begins with someone willing to be uncomfortable for something greater than themselves. You must decide what you value more, comfort or calling, because one will always cancel the other. Comfort will keep you average. Calling will make you extraordinary. Comfort will protect your ego. Calling will purify your spirit. Comfort will preserve your pride. Calling will position your purpose. You cannot chase both. When you start embracing discomfort, something shifts inside you. You stop running from pain and start learning from it. You stop avoiding change and start initiating it. You stop blaming life and start building your own. Discomfort makes you dangerous to mediocrity, because once you've learned to grow through pain, You become unstoppable. Nothing can break you when you've already learned to bend. So if you feel uncomfortable right now, good. That's the soil of your growth. That tension you feel means transformation is happening. That uneasiness means evolution is in motion. You are being stretched, reshaped, and refined for something bigger than where you are. Don't go back to what's easy just because it's familiar. Comfort zone is where dreams die quietly. The growth zone is where destiny is born loudly. Step into the unknown even if your knees shake. Speak your truth, even if your voice trembles. Move forward, even if your path isn't clear. Because one step in faith is worth more than a lifetime in fear. Comfort is the enemy of growth because it wants you to survive, not thrive. But you weren't created just to make it. You were created to become it. To become stronger, wiser, deeper, more disciplined, more determined. Growth may cost you comfort, but it will give you character. It will give you strength. It will give you power. There comes a time when you must stop waiting for someone to clap for you before you move. Stop waiting for someone to agree with your vision before you believe in it. Stop waiting for people to understand you before you understand yourself. Validation is the invisible chain that keeps so many people from stepping into their destiny. It is the silent prison that holds greatness hostage. You don't need the world to approve you when you were already chosen for something greater. Too many dreams die waiting for permission. Too many visions fade because someone didn't cheer. Too many people shrink because they were waiting to be seen before they stood up. You cannot wait for the world to understand what was whispered in your spirit. You cannot expect others to believe in something they were never called to build. The vision belongs to you. The purpose was planted in you. Responsibility to carry it forward rests with you. Waiting for validation is like standing at the door of destiny, holding the key, refusing to turn it until someone tells you you're worthy. You already have the key. You already have the calling. You already have the ability. The moment you stop waiting for approval, your anointing begins to activate. The moment you stop seeking affirmation from others, your confidence begins to grow. The moment you stop apologizing for your light, you realize you were never meant to dim it. Validation is addictive because it feels like safety. It gives you a sense of belonging. It soothes your fears for a moment. But the truth is, if your confidence depends on other people's applause, you will always be enslaved to their opinions. You will move when they approve and stop when they disapprove. You will build when they clap and crumble when they criticize. That's not freedom, that's dependency. And dependency is dangerous to destiny. When you wait for validation, you give people the power to define you. You hand over the steering wheel of your purpose to people who may not even know where they're going themselves. You allow strangers, critics, doubters to decide the value of your vision. But they don't see what you see. They don't hear what you hear. They weren't there when the fire was lit inside you. Stop letting people who didn't start your journey have the authority to stop your progress. The truth is, some people will never validate you because your growth threatens their comfort. They will question you, doubt you, and dismiss you not because you're wrong, because you're rising. Your elevation will expose their insecurity. Your boldness will challenge their complacency. So stop waiting for those who benefit from your silence to celebrate your voice. You don't need a committee to confirm your calling. You don't need a crowd to agree with your conviction. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history began with one person who dared to move without applause. The pioneers, the inventors, the visionaries, they were all misunderstood before they were celebrated. They were ridiculed before they were respected. They were doubted before they were discovered. But they didn't stop. They didn't shrink. They didn't wait for validation. They walked in conviction. Conviction is what carries you when compliments stop coming. Conviction is what strengthens you when criticism gets loud. Conviction is what sustains you when you feel unseen. When you know who you are and what you've been called to do, you stop seeking confirmation and start walking in confidence. You stop begging for a seat at the table and start building your own. There's something powerful about moving in silence. Not because you're hiding, but because you've learned that noise doesn't build legacy. You've learned that your validation doesn't come from volume but from vision. When you no longer need to be seen to feel significant, you become unstoppable. You move with purpose, not pressure. You build with peace, not pride. Validation is temporary. Purpose is eternal. The same people who praise you today can criticize you tomorrow. The same crowd that cheers for you in one season might turn their back in the next. When your foundation is built on validation, you will collapse under inconsistency. When your foundation is built on vision, you can withstand any storm. It's not arrogance to believe in yourself. It's awareness. It's understanding that the same Creator who made the mountains and oceans also made you with intention. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You were designed with purpose, gifted with potential, and equipped with everything you need to fulfill your assignment. You don't need validation from people when you have confirmation from within. Validation often disguises itself as humility. It tells you, wait until they recognize you, or don't move until they approve you. But that's not humility. That's hesitation. True humility is not denying your greatness. It's acknowledging that your greatness comes from a higher source. It's using your gifts boldly without needing to boast. It's walking in your light without apologizing for it. Stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that can't handle your fullness. Stop watering down your voice to make others comfortable. Stop apologizing for your fire because others fear getting burned. You don't owe the world an explanation for your excellence. You owe yourself permission to be everything you were created to be. Validation from others can feel good, but it's not sustainable. People are fickle. Opinions change, crowds shift. If you live for their approval, you will die by their rejection. That's why your worth must be anchored in something deeper, something unshakable. When your validation comes from purpose, you can be rejected and still rise. You can be misunderstood and still move. You can be overlooked and still overcome. Don't wait for validation to start creating. Don't wait for validation to start healing. Don't wait for validation to start building. If you know it's in you, start now. Your confidence will come through doing, not waiting. The moment you take that first step, momentum begins. The universe doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to action. You don't need permission to become who you were meant to be. You don't need anyone to tell you that you're ready. You already are. The lessons, the heartbreaks, the silence, the struggle, they've all been preparing you for this moment. Every delay was shaping your discipline. Every rejection was refining your resilience. Every detour was deepening your wisdom. You are not waiting for validation. You are walking in revelation. You are not seeking applause. You are following alignment. You are not chasing approval. You are cultivating authenticity. The more you accept yourself, the less you need others too. The more you understand your worth, the less you beg for recognition. The more you walk in purpose, the louder your presence becomes. So let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them misunderstand. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your evolution. Some people won't see your value until your value is undeniable, and that's okay. You weren't created to convince. You were created to contribute. Keep building. Keep believing. Keep becoming. You are not behind. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are simply being positioned for the moment when your preparation meets opportunity. When that moment comes, no amount of validation could have made it happen. No amount of rejection can stop it. So walk boldly, speak truthfully, live freely. You don't need anyone to say you're enough. You already are. You don't need the world to clap. You just need to keep going. Because once you stop waiting for validation, you start walking in liberation. Your vision is sacred. It is the blueprint of your destiny, the divine whisper that calls you toward your purpose. But every vision, no matter how pure or powerful, must be protected. Because not everyone will understand it. Not everyone will celebrate it. Not everything in your life is meant to see it before it is ready. Your vision is the seed of your future, and like any seed, it cannot survive if it is planted in the wrong soil. You see, when you first receive a vision, whether it's a dream, a goal, or a calling, it's fragile. It's tender. It doesn't yet have roots. That's why it's not meant for public display. You cannot expose your vision to every voice, every opinion, every critic, and expect it to grow. Some people will speak doubt where faith should be. Some will question what you've been shown because they can't see beyond their own limitations. And if you're not careful, you'll start shrinking your vision to fit the expectations of people who were never meant to carry it. You must guard your vision the way a lion guards its cubs, with intensity, with discernment, with courage. You cannot share your dream with everyone because some people are not equipped to handle it. They will try to analyze what they did not hear, explain what they do not understand, and limit what they did not create. Protecting your vision doesn't mean hiding in fear. It means walking in wisdom. It means knowing that everything divine begins in silence. Think about it, seeds grow in the dark. Babies form in the hidden places of the womb. Even the most powerful storms begin in unseen clouds. God does his best work in secret, and so should you. You don't have to post every move, announce every step, or explain every change. Sometimes the most powerful progress is made in quietness. There's strength in the unseen. There's protection in the private. There's power in the process that no one else can witness. When you protect your vision, you're also protecting your peace, because the moment you start sharing your vision too early, opinions start multiplying. Everyone suddenly becomes an expert on what you should do. Everyone has advice, warnings, or criticism, and if you're not deeply rooted in your purpose, those voices can drown out your inner conviction. Your peace is the soil in which your vision grows. If the soil becomes polluted with negativity and doubt, the seed will never flourish. You've got to be willing to build in silence and let the results speak for themselves. Let your progress make the announcement. Let your work testify to your discipline. Protecting your vision means trusting the timing. You might not see the full picture yet, but you know it's forming. Just because others can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. Visionaries walk by faith, not by validation. And here's what you must understand. Your vision will attract both support and resistance. That's the cost of being chosen to see what others cannot. There will be moments when the weight of your vision feels heavy, when you start to wonder if you misheard, if you misunderstood, if you're reaching too high. That tension is proof that what you're carrying is real. That's why you must protect it until it's strong enough to stand on its own. When people don't understand your vision, they may call it pride. When they can't see your direction, they may label it confusion. When they feel threatened by your growth, they may call it arrogance. Don't internalize their misunderstanding. Your job is not to explain. It's to execute. You don't owe clarity to anyone who wasn't in the room when the vision was revealed to you. They weren't there when the fire was lit inside your heart. They didn't hear what you heard. Every great visionary faced opposition. Every dreamer had to fight to keep the dream alive. Joseph had to protect his dream even when his brothers threw him into a pit. Noah had to protect his vision even when people mocked him for building an ark in the dry season. They didn't see what he saw. They didn't understand what was coming. But because he protected what was planted in him, he survived what destroyed others. Your vision is no different. There are storms that your vision will outlast if you don't give up, if you don't overshare, if you don't let the wrong voices invade your purpose. Everyone deserves access to your blueprint. Some people are only meant to see the finished product. Protecting your vision means protecting your energy, your environment, and your focus. You cannot pour your creativity into every conversation. You cannot give your time to everyone who demands it. You cannot let your emotions be pulled by every distraction. The more valuable your vision, the tighter your boundaries must be. Your destiny cannot coexist with disorder. There will be moments when isolation feels painful, but remember, privacy is the incubator of power. God often hides those he's preparing. The hiding season is not punishment, it's protection. While others are performing for attention, you're being built for purpose. While others are chasing applause, you're being refined in silence. Protecting your vision means trusting that what you're building in private will soon shine in public. And when that time comes, when your vision finally manifests, people will say, you changed overnight. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't overnight. It was years of protecting what others didn't see. It was nights of prayer, seasons of faith, and days of discipline. It was the patience to stay hidden until the appointed time. So be selective with your circle. Share your dreams with those who water them, not those who drain them. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your calling when you start doubting yourself. Protect your vision from small talk, toxic energy, from self-sabotage. Your vision deserves protection because it's not just about you. It's about the generations that will benefit from your obedience. Every decision you make to guard your dream is shaping a legacy that will outlive you. Don't expose your purpose to premature opinions. Don't let fear or frustration cause you to reveal what still needs time to grow. Protect it until it's ready. Build it until it's strong. Believe in it until it breathes. Your vision is your responsibility. Nurture it, defend it, guard it with faith and silence, because one day, the very thing you protected in private will stand before the world as undeniable proof that what was once invisible has become unstoppable. Transformation is not something that happens to you. It's something that happens within you. Real change doesn't begin when your circumstances shift, when people start supporting you, or when life becomes easier. True transformation begins the moment you decide to confront yourself. The moment you stop running from the truth of who you are and start embracing the process of becoming who you were always meant to be. Too often, we wait for the outside world to give us permission to change. We wait for signs, opportunities, or miracles to push us forward. Transformation doesn't wait for perfect timing. It requires personal awakening. You can move to a new city, get a new job, or meet new people. If you don't change what's inside you, the same cycles will repeat, because until the age inner man is renewed, this outer life will remain the same. Transformation begins in the mind. Your thoughts shape your emotions drive your actions, and your actions define your life. If you don't shift your mindset, no external change can last. That's why the most powerful battles you'll ever fight are invisible. They happen in your thoughts, in your habits, in your private moments. You can't win on the outside if you're losing on the inside. The truth is, transformation is not glamorous. It's not something you can capture in a picture or announce to the world. It's quiet, it's messy, it's lonely. Because in order to change, you have to face what you've been avoiding. You have to unlearn the lies you've believed, break free from the patterns you repeated, and confront the parts of yourself that keep sabotaging your own progress. Can't heal what you refuse to see. Inside transformation feels like tearing down old walls that once protected you, but now imprison you. Feels like letting go of control and allowing growth to reshape you in ways that don't always feel comfortable. You start realizing that not everything that feels safe is good for you, and not everything that feels painful is bad for you. Pain, when embraced with purpose, becomes a tool for transformation. Change begins when you stop blaming the world and start taking responsibility for your responses. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you interpret it, how you respond to it, and how you let it shape you. Power to transform lies not in your surroundings, but in your surrender. The moment you stop resisting the lessons life is trying to teach you is the moment your growth accelerates. Transformation is an inside job because no one else can do it for you. People can inspire you, advise you, even pray for you, but they cannot become you. They can't renew your mind, discipline your habits, or align your spirit. That's your assignment. You have to make the choice every day to grow, to stretch, to evolve. The version of you that you're becoming will demand a new level of honesty, focus, faith that the old you may not be ready for, but you must move anyway. Real transformation demands isolation. There will be seasons where it feels like you've been cut off from everyone. You'll outgrow conversations, habits, and even certain relationships. You'll feel misunderstood, maybe even rejected. But that separation isn't punishment, it's preparation. God often isolates what he intends to elevate. Cocoon that looks like confinement to the caterpillar is actually the sacred space of transformation. You can't fly until you're willing to be alone in the dark. Inside transformation also requires forgiveness, especially forgiveness of yourself. You cannot become new if you're still carrying guilt from who you used to be. Every mistake, every failure, every setback was a part of your evolution. Stop rehearsing what you should have done differently and start focusing on what you can do now. You are not the same person who made those choices. Growth means grace. You cannot heal in the same energy that keeps condemning you. Transformation means surrendering your need to look like you have it all together. It means admitting that there are areas within you that need to be rebuilt, restored, and renewed. You can't transform while pretending to be perfect. Transparency is the soil of growth. When you're honest with yourself about your fears, your habits, your wounds, you create room for change to take root. And sometimes transformation will break you before it builds you. It will strip away identities, titles, and versions of yourself that no longer align with your calling. You'll lose things that you thought you needed, only to realize later they were distractions. You'll cry over doors that closed, not knowing they were leading you away from your purpose. Every ending, every heartbreak, every detour has meaning. The breaking is not the end, it's the beginning of becoming. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a daily decision. It's choosing to rise even when you feel weak. It's speaking faith when doubt is screaming louder. It's doing what's right when no one's watching. It's showing up again and again until your habits start to reflect your hope. Change is not a moment, it's a movement within you. Hardest part of transformation is letting go of who you used to be. Because that version of you got you here. It survived storms, endured pain, and learned lessons. But it cannot take you there. You cannot elevate to new levels using old patterns. Growth demands that you release familiar limitations. You can't carry your past into your purpose. If you want to transform, you must stop seeking comfort and start seeking truth. You must stop running from reflection and start embracing accountability. The mirror doesn't lie. The moment you look within and decide to deal with what you see, the transformation begins. Don't expect everyone to understand the changes you're making. Some people are attached to your old identity because it's convenient for them. They like the version of you that tolerated less, that played small, that didn't set boundaries. But transformation will require you to disappoint those who are comfortable with your dysfunction. Don't apologize for growing. Those who truly love you will evolve with you. And remember this. Transformation is not just about becoming better, it's about becoming true. It's about returning to your authentic self, the one buried beneath years of fear, doubt, and conditioning. It's about rediscovering your worth, your strength, your light. You are not here to stay the same. You are here to rise. When you transform internally, everything around you eventually adjusts to match your new frequency. Doors open, opportunities align, relationships shift because your outer world is always a reflection of your inner world. The moment you start changing within, the universe begins to respond. So be patient with your process. Don't rush to becoming. Every tear, every trial, every lonely night is shaping you for the version of yourself that's waiting on the other side of this transformation. You are not breaking down, you are breaking through. Transformation is not about doing more, it's about being more, being conscious, being intentional, being aligned with the truth of who you are. The work begins within, and when you honor that process, you'll look back and realize you didn't just change your life, you changed your being. Timing is divine. You may have your plans, your dreams, your deadlines, but there is a rhythm to life that operates beyond your control. There is a divine order orchestrating the moments of your becoming. Until you understand that timing is not your enemy, you will keep living in frustration instead of faith. Because not every delay is denial. Every pause means punishment. Sometimes it's protection. Sometimes it's preparation. You see, divine timing doesn't always align with human impatience. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Everyone wants results now, recognition now, breakthrough now. But destiny doesn't unfold in haste. What's meant for you cannot be rushed. And what's not meant for you cannot be forced. When you truly grasp that peace replaces panic, there are moments when you'll look around and feel like everyone else is moving faster. Others are getting promoted, getting noticed, getting blessed, and you're still in the same place. But what if that same place is your training ground? What if you're not being delayed, developed? Divine timing is not about standing still. It's about being shaped while you wait. Because what you're waiting for is waiting for a stronger version of you. You can't put a harvest on display before the seed has taken root. You can't step into your promise before your character has been prepared to handle it. Sometimes God holds back the blessing not to withhold it, to protect you from it, because an unprepared person in a divine position will destroy what was meant to elevate them. The waiting season is not wasted, it's sacred. It's where you learn patience, humility, and discernment. Divine timing will often confuse your logic. You'll ask, why now? Why not earlier? Why me? And heaven will whisper back, because this is the moment you're ready. You see, readiness is not just about desire, it's about maturity. You may want it, but can you sustain it? You may be praying for the platform. Can your foundation carry the weight of it? Divine timing ensures that what comes to you stays with you. Every season in your life has a divine purpose. Some seasons are for sowing, others for growing, and a few for reaping. But they don't happen all at once. When it's winter in your life, don't curse the cold. That's the time when roots deepen. When it's spring, don't rush the bloom. Let it unfold naturally. When it's harvest, be grateful, but remain humble, because just as seasons change, life continues to evolve. Divine timing works in cycles, not chaos. Sometimes the delay is your deliverance. You were crying for something that would have broken you if it had arrived when you asked for it. You didn't see the full picture, but God did. You thought you were ready, but He saw the cracks in your foundation. You thought the door was closed forever. He was just rebuilding it to open wider later. What you call a setback is often a setup. What looks like rejection is often redirection. There's beauty in the waiting, because waiting builds something inside of you that success never could. Faith. The kind of faith that says, even when I don't see it, I believe it. Faith that doesn't crumble when time stretches longer than expected. Faith that refuses to let impatience sabotage the process. The waiting room is where destiny is refined. It's where your character catches up to your calling. Divine timing also has a way of aligning people and opportunities in ways that no human effort could ever plan. Have you ever noticed how the right person appears just when you're ready to receive wisdom? How a closed door suddenly opens when your mindset has shifted? That's not coincidence, that's alignment. Timing weaves together every thread of your story until it forms a picture of purpose. You cannot compare your timing to someone else's because you don't carry their purpose. Some people bloom early, others blossom later. Some rise quickly, rise quietly, but every purpose has its season. The same sun that melts the wax hardens the clay. It's not about the light, it's about the material. Don't envy someone else's season, master your own. When you force timing, you create frustration. When you trust timing, you create flow. There's a peace that comes when you stop trying to push open doors and start preparing for when they open naturally. You stop striving and start aligning. You realize that the divine doesn't rush. He reveals one step at a time, one lesson at a time, one breakthrough at a time. It's easy to trust divine timing when things are working. But can you trust it when nothing makes sense? Can you believe that the detour is divine? Can you stay faithful when you're hidden? That's the test of maturity. Everyone wants the spotlight. Few are willing to stay planted in the soil long enough for their roots to strengthen. The waiting room is uncomfortable, but it's essential. Because if you rise too soon, you'll collapse under pressure. When it's divine time, no one can stop it. You won't have to manipulate, compete, or chase. The door will swing open, the opportunity will find you, the right people will appear. Divine timing carries its own confirmation. You'll feel peace in your spirit, clarity in your vision, and strength in your steps. That's when you'll know it's time. But here's the thing, while you wait on divine timing is waiting on your readiness. You can't expect a harvest if you haven't been planting. You can't expect promotion if you haven't been preparing. Faith without action is fantasy. Divine timing doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the right things at the right pace with the right heart. You keep showing up, you keep sowing, and you trust that the harvest will come when it's meant to. Sometimes divine timing will require you to release your timeline, to surrender your sense of control, to say, Even if it doesn't happen how I imagine, I trust that it will happen how it's meant to. That surrender is where peace lies. You stop measuring progress by clocks and start measuring it by growth. You realize that divine timing is not about when, it's about who you're becoming in the process. So stop panicking. Stop comparing. Stop doubting the process. Every day that feels delayed is still divine. Every not yet is still an answer. You are not behind. You are right on schedule for what's meant for you. The world may rush, but heaven moves by purpose. One day, you'll look back and see why the waiting was necessary. You'll realize that the timing was never off. It was orchestrated perfectly. You'll thank God for the doors that didn't open, the people who left, and the plans that didn't work out. Because without those detours, you wouldn't be standing where you are now. Timing is divine. You don't need to chase it, you need to trust it. Everything you've been praying for is already written into the timeline of your life. The key is patience, the test is endurance. The reward is peace. Timing is right, you won't have to force it. It will flow. It will fit, it will feel like home, because divine timing never misses. It just manifests when you're finally ready to receive what's already yours. Purpose recognizes authenticity. It responds to the real you, not the mask you wear, not the version you perform, but the truth you carry deep inside. You can fake talent, you can imitate style, you can mimic success, but you cannot counterfeit authenticity. Because what is meant for you is attracted to who you really are, not who you pretend to be. You see, many people spend their lives chasing purpose while running from themselves. They try to fit into molds that were never designed for them. They trade their uniqueness for acceptance and their originality for approval. But purpose does not live in imitation, it lives in identity. The more you try to become someone else, the further you drift from what was meant for you. You cannot walk into your destiny wearing someone else's shoes. Authenticity is alignment, when your inner world matches your outer expression. It is when you stop performing for validation and start living in truth. It's when your words, your actions, your dreams, and your values move in harmony. Purpose meets you in that space of honesty. When you are true to yourself, the doors that were meant for you open without force. The right opportunities, the right people, the right moments, they recognize your frequency because it's genuine. When you operate from authenticity, you radiate something that cannot be manufactured: integrity. People can feel it. You don't have to convince them of your worth, they can sense it. You don't have to prove your greatness, it shows through your consistency. The world is full of noise, full of imitation, full of performance, but authenticity cuts through it all like a signal through static. Purpose knows that sound. Reason authenticity is so powerful is because it carries truth. And truth never goes out of style. Truth doesn't need to trend to be relevant. Truth doesn't need validation to be powerful. When you stand in truth, you stand in something eternal. You are no longer moved by comparison or competition because you understand that what's yours cannot be taken and what's not yours cannot be forced. There's freedom in being authentic. You stop trying to please everyone and you start honoring your own soul. You begin to realize that you don't need everyone's applause to feel valuable. You don't need to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You don't need to dim your light because others fear your brilliance. The moment you embrace your truth, your purpose begins to unfold naturally, because purpose only responds to the real version of you. There's a danger in pretending. When you live in pretense, you attract things that are not meant for you. Fake connections, fake opportunities, fake fulfillment. And even when they arrive, you'll feel empty because deep down, you know they were never aligned with your spirit. You can't feel peace living outside your purpose. You can't feel joy living someone else's dream. Sooner or later, your soul will start to whisper, "This isn't me." So authenticity requires courage. The courage to stand alone if you must. The courage to be misunderstood. The courage to grow beyond what people expect. It takes strength to say, "I won't compromise my essence just to belong." But when you choose truth over popularity, you unlock power. You start living from your core instead of your ego, and purpose begins to move toward you like a magnet. When you are authentic, you stop chasing. You start attracting. The right people will find you because your energy is real. The right opportunities will align because your intentions are pure. You won't have to beg to be seen. Your presence will speak louder than your performance. You won't have to manipulate outcomes. Authenticity carries its own authority. Purpose is not discovered through imitation. It's revealed through introspection. You find it when you stop asking, what do they want me to be? And start asking, oh, who am I really? You find it in the still moments when you strip away titles, roles, and expectations and face yourself as you are. No filters, no pretending. The real you has always been waiting beneath the noise. So many people pray for clarity, yet ignore the truth inside them. Clarity doesn't come from external approval. It comes from internal alignment. When your heart and your habits are in sync, when your beliefs and your behavior agree, that's when purpose reveals itself. You can't fake alignment. You can't rush authenticity. It grows as you learn to trust your own truth. There's a reason the most impactful people in the world are authentic, because their power doesn't come from trying to fit in. It comes from standing out. They're not afraid to be different, to speak their truth, to live by conviction. They understand that authenticity might not always make you popular. It will always make you purposeful. And here's the beauty of it. When you're authentic, you give others permission to be authentic too. Your courage becomes contagious. Your truth inspires others to take off their masks. The world doesn't need more perfection. It needs more realness. It needs more hearts that lead with sincerity, more souls that speak honestly, more people who are unashamed to be who they truly are. Authenticity also comes with pruning. When you start walking in truth, certain people will fall away. Certain doors will close. Certain circles will no longer fit. That's not rejection. That's refinement. The more you align with your authentic self, the more life removes what doesn't belong. Because what's not aligned with your truth can't travel with you into purpose. Purpose recognizes authenticity because authenticity carries divine fingerprints. It's the expression of your original design. You were created intentionally, not accidentally. Every quirk, every strength, every scar has meaning. Nothing about you is wasted. The traits you once tried to hide are often the keys to your purpose. The things that make you different are what make you destined. When you finally embrace your authenticity, you stop trying to force your purpose. It starts to find you. You start receiving ideas that feel natural. You start walking into opportunities that feel peaceful. You stop striving and start flowing. That's when you realize that your purpose was never hiding. It was waiting for you to show up fully. Don't underestimate the power of being real in a world full of replicas. Authenticity will outlast popularity every single time. It might take longer. It might cost you more. It might cost you more, but it will sustain you in the end. Because when you are real, you don't have to keep performing. You can rest knowing that who you are is enough. Purpose doesn't respond to perfection. It responds to honesty. It doesn't ask for you to be flawless. It asks for you to be faithful, to show up as yourself, to trust that who you are is exactly what this world needs. Purpose recognizes your authentic essence because it was designed specifically for you. So stop hiding. Stop comparing. Stop deluding yourself to fit environments that can't handle your truth. Walk boldly in your authenticity and watch how life starts to align. People meant for you will feel it. The doors meant for you will open. The peace meant for you will stay. Purpose recognizes authenticity because authenticity is the language of destiny. When you finally dare to be real, you stop searching for purpose and start living it. The moment you embrace the truth of who you are, everything meant for you begins to find its way home.